Hi, I'm David Schenk. I'm an attorney and enrolled agent, enrolled to practice before the IRS, and I talk about tax issues, estate planning, and asset protection. Today, we're going to talk about IRS wage garnishments. So what is an IRS wage garnishment? It's a legal process whereby the IRS requires an employer to withhold a portion of a taxpayer's paycheck and send it directly to the IRS to help settle a tax debt. And even though this is a legal process, it's not a court process. You won't get an opportunity to plead your case before a judge, but you will get an opportunity to plead your case to the IRS through their internal appeals process if you choose to avail yourself of that process. Have you ever wondered if the IRS can garnish your entire paycheck? It's a scary thought. And the quick answer is no. However, the realistic answer is that they can take enough that it will hurt, and it will hurt a lot. Most creditors who want to garnish your wages, like a bank or a credit card company, they have to go to court and get an order from a judge before they can garnish your wages. And once they have that court order, they can generally only garnish 15 to 25% of your after-tax pay. But the IRS is different. They don't need a court order. They just send a letter to your employer, and your employer has no choice but to garnish your wages. And also, the IRS isn't limited to the normal 15 to 25% garnishment. They have their own formula about how much they can take. The formula is designed to leave you with enough money to pay your basic living expenses. And it's based on your family size and filing status. However, the IRS and you are likely to have very different ideas about what constitutes basic living expenses. And you are likely to find that their idea is much less than you like. For example, if your filing status is single and you have no dependents, the IRS says you can live on about $1,200 per month. I know very few people who can actually live on $1,200 per month. But they then take the rest. So for example, if your monthly post-tax earnings are $5,000, you get to keep $1,200, and the other $3,800 goes to the IRS. So if you receive a notice of intent to levy, don't ignore it, especially if you receive a letter that's titled Final Notice of Intent to Levy. Bank levies, where the IRS takes the money out of your bank account, and wage garnishments are two of the IRS's favorite things. Because for most people, their wages are their number one liquid asset. If the IRS is levying your assets or garnishing your wages, whether it's your bank accounts, retirement accounts, your house, your car, your Social Security check, your paycheck, or any other asset, there are steps that you can take. And note that I have individual videos on each of these programs. So one thing that you can do is you can simply pay off the debt. If you have the money or can get the money, paying the debt in full obviously will stop all levies and garnishments, and the IRS will also lift any liens that they have filed against your property. Another option is to file a collections due process appeal if you're within the appeals window. This is an IRS internal appeals process. It's only going to be available to you relatively early in the process. But they're going to pause any collections activities while your appeal works its way through the IRS process. You can also set up an installment agreement. Once you've established an installment agreement, all collections activities are going to cease. However, any liens that the IRS has filed are going to remain in place until the installment agreement is paid in full, or until you get the lien released some other way. You can ask for currently not collectible status. If you can demonstrate to the IRS that you can't pay your basic living expenses while at the same time making payments on your tax debt, you can be put into currently not collectible status. But be aware that the IRS's ideas of how much you need for your basic living expenses is quite low. For example, the IRS says that if you are a single taxpayer without dependents, you can live on about $1,200 a month. I don't know a lot of people who can live on $1,200 a month. You can also file an offer in compromise. An offer in compromise is a formal offer to the IRS to settle your tax debt for less than the full amount. And while they are considering your offer in compromise application, they're going to stop all collections activities, and the process can take from a few months up to as much as 2 years. Additionally, you can file for bankruptcy. When you file for bankruptcy, an automatic stay stops all creditors from any collections activities, and this includes the IRS. If you have a substantial amount of non-tax debt, this can be a really good option. But not all taxes are dischargeable, and it can be tricky to figure out which ones can be discharged. I have a video on this issue as well. If most or all of your debt is taxes, an offer in compromise is often a better choice. Or you can file for innocent spouse relief if your situation qualifies. If you are or might be an innocent spouse, the IRS is going to cease collections activities while they consider your application. And finally, check to see if you are approaching the 10-year statute of limitations, which is the limit on which a tax is collectible. You might just be able to wait them out. However, it can be a little tricky to determine exactly when the 10-year statute of limitations is up, because there are many situations that are going to toll or suspend the running of the 10-year limit. Disclaimer: this video and any accompanying text is for informational purposes only. The information provided does not and is not intended to constitute legal advice. No attorney-client or similar relationship is formed. If you require legal advice, please contact an attorney or other legal professional. This video covers a complex legal area in just a few minutes, and of necessity leaves out much of the detail. Don't make decisions based only on this video.